Hello, we're Greenpeace, a multinational organisation that aids in protecting the environment. More specifically, we're Greenpeace Australia Pacific, located mostly concerned about issues arising in Australia and the surrounding areas. We represent the Earth. Greenpeace Australia Pacific is trying to stop the rapid increase of global climate change, as well as protecting Australia and their natural wonders. Currently, we are trying to stop the coal industry in Australia, and as it is making huge contributions to damaging the environment. The Great Barrier Reef is being damaged by the local coal industry, resulting in the bleaching of coral, water temperatures rising and the risk of oil spills. We represent the environment and the health of Australia, future and present. Currently, we are disagreeing with the Australian government as they have plans to expand the coal industry further, which will greatly impact the Great Barrier Reef. Whilst disagreeing with the Australian government's policy, we still aim to get along with all countries and show them research to why expanding the coal industry isn't a suitable strategy. We are an independent global campaigning organisation and do not take donations from governments and corporations. We are run with a board of people with many different countries contributing to the organisation. We are currently taking measures to stop and control climate change in our own backyard.
The coal industry, along with the Australian government, is planning a major construction to build coal reserves inside and along the Great Barrier Reef. This construction includes ripping up and dumping 6.3 million tonnes of the Great Barrier Reef seafloor. Due to these new constructions, hundreds of coal ships will pass through the reef, resulting in the heightening of the risk of accidents such as oil spills, which can negatively impact the coral and the marine life that call our Great Barrier Reef home. Such accidents like these can also result in the pollution of the Great Barrier Reef. Currently, the Great Barrier Reef is not in the best state of health due to an issue called coral bleaching. There are chances that the reef can still recover and regain its health with time. However, if the construction of the coal reserves go ahead, it will cripple any chances of the reef making any sort of recovery. Ultimately, the coal production will eventually destroy our Great Barrier Reef, which will result in the extinction and endangerment of many different marine species that call our Great Barrier Reef home. Scientists have stated that we can have coal or coral, not both. Now Kay will introduce the issue of coral bleaching and how it impacts our Great Barrier Reef.
Coral bleaching occurs when coral expels algae living in its tissues, which causes it to turn completely white, hence the term bleaching. On March 1, 2016, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority declared that the reef is at Stage 1 bleaching. This means that the bleaching is minor, but it is widespread. Coral bleaching would be potentially catastrophic for the reef if it does not get a chance to recover. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration states that coral bleaching is caused by rising water temperature, which is a result of climate change. As the waters continue to get warmer, the reef's chance of survival gets bleaker. While the coral is under this level of stress, it is crucial that conditions get back to normal as soon as possible before the bleaching becomes a major problem. The proposed coal mine that Talia mentioned would be disastrous at this stage for the reef. Its impact on climate change would be enormous, and the water temperature would certainly rise. The Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change predicts that by 2100, Australian sea temperature could be 2.5 degrees warmer than it is currently. As well as coral bleaching, ocean acidification is another problem the reef faces that is caused by climate change. Ocean acidification occurs when the ocean absorbs the excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. While many of the long-term effects of ocean acidification remain uncertain, as it is a relatively new threat on the reef, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority warned that it affects coral development. These issues threaten the Great Barrier Reef survival if they continue to worsen. Eloise will now talk about the solutions to these problems.
Climate change impacts are being felt across the globe as sea levels rise, greenhouse gas emissions increase, and the world is getting warmer. Experts have been of one mind, saying that human activity is largely responsible of climate change, and it is through our exchange and way of society that we play a major role. This also means that the power is in our hands to change things. Our existence as a non-governmental organization is directly linked to our certainty that Our world deserves and needs to maintain its beautiful nature healthy. We truly believe that a pollution-free future is achievable and that the action for a change has to happen right now. As Greenpeace Australia Pacific, we are independent in carrying our own campaign, and as established in our constitution, we are seeking to protect, preserve and enhance the natural environment. More specifically concerning the Great Barrier Reef, we called for a moratorium on all coal-related activities development in the region. We collect signatures for petitions and in order to expand our public fund. We do our best to alert the general public to the worrying future of the reef. For example, my colleague Jess Payne-Gayers, who is Greenpeace political advisor for Australia Pacific, mentioned the loopholes of the government's Reef 2050 plan during the UNESCO committee in Bonn. We sort of play a role of interface in order to gather the general public force to set up some solutions. We already reached a significant victory in November 2015 as the Queensland government passed legislation to stop coal companies from dumping their dredge spoil on the reef. The Paris Climate Agreement is an example of an international action to which Australia took part. However, the cap set on global warming at below 2 degrees won't make any difference on the reef directly, as Kelly O'Shaughnessy reinforced. She's the CEO of the Australian Conservation Foundation, and she said, I quote, "At 1.5 degrees and above, we lose the Great Barrier Reef. We are already seeing this, and we haven't even go to those levels of warming yet." So this is why Laura will expose in further details the governmental solutions in the perspective of saving the Great Barrier Reef.
We, as a society, must participate in the global climate change movement, yet we need state and federal government policies to help implement and motivate these actions. The Great Barrier Reef is a World Heritage and it has come under the concern of the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, otherwise known as UNESCO, that it is in grave danger. UNESCO have recently expressed multiple concerns about the Australian government's lack of attention to the destruction of the reef. Greenpeace has, as of March 2015, found that the Australian government had not made sufficient progress against the UNESCO's recommendations to avoid an in-danger listing. Since Greenpeace and the general public have raised constant concerns about the Great Barrier Reef situation and future, the Australian government and Queensland government in particular have been working in response to UNESCO's recommendation to develop a 2015 reef plan. So the Australian government has established a new $40 million reef trust to provide innovative targeted investment towards improving water quality. Australia has agreed on targets to achieve in tackling climate change through national direct and international engagement, as Eloise has mentioned. There was no mention, however, to the coal expansion. A coal expansion will increase more coal ships coming into the harbour, especially Abbott Point, and it is a heightened risk of oil spills. This expansion will bring a lot of revenue to the Australian government and participating countries. Therefore, this is a potential motivation to continue with the process. Greenpeace Australia has suggested some solutions to climate change. We must stop reckless coal developments in the Great Barrier Reef, and it's by stopping the new export terminals proposed for the Great Barrier Reef coast. We also have campaigns to replace polluting power with renewable energy, called Energy Revolution, which has been implemented since 2010, and we hope by 2020 Australia will have replaced most, or if not all, of its coal-fired power stations with renewable energy. If Australia continues their position to increase the coal port expansion, this will counteract their efforts to reduce their carbon footprint and their efforts in the Reef 2050 plan. Australian government, with the help of organisations like Greenpeace, can help reduce climate change. Therefore, to save the reef, we must do everything we can to help. It is important that we as a society become more involved in saving this world heritage. Talia will now discuss some practical solutions we can achieve.
There are many practical solutions to limit the decline of the Great Barrier Reef, which consequently have the ability to reduce climate change. For members of conventional society, not disposing of waste properly can harm marine life. Therefore, it is vital to remove fishing equipment from the water or the beach to prevent it from choking and entangling any fish or plants. The fossil fuel emissions which come from cars lead to coral bleaching and ocean warming. A solution to rectifying this issue is to either walk, ride your bike or take the bus as a means of transport. Greenpeace is a non-profit organisation and any donation can aid in protecting our beautiful planet, especially the Great Barrier Reef. The support of the general public makes our campaign work possible. By donating today, it can ensure that we can continue taking direct action where it is required most. The aforementioned actions that society can undertake have the ability to help save the environment, as each of them target a different aspect for protecting the reef and reducing climate change. The CSIRO conducted a 5-year study into Australia's views on climate change, and results show an alarming 54.2% of those surveyed are not convinced climate change is an issue regarding the actions of humans. This imposes huge social restriction on battling the global issue, as if members of the public do not believe there is an issue to combat, they will not take any measures to save the planet. As a whole, any contribution made to benefiting the environment, whether it be going to the reef to clean up or simply reducing the amount of water you use, can limit any further damage to the Great Barrier Reef.
To summarise, we are more than concerned about the impact of coal mining in Australia and the outcomes that may arise for the Great Barrier Reef. If suitable actions are taken, such as the government reducing fossil fuels and the general public taking steps such as more recycling, reducing their own carbon footprint by using alternative methods of transport and cleaning up around the reef, we may be able to preserve our natural wonder. With these long-term solutions, we will continue to protect the reef with the threat of climate change.